Welcome everyone to Infinitely Productions, and here as you see in this video we are walking up to 11th and Christian Street in the place where Angelo Bruno had his last meal at Cous Little Italy. Angelo Bruno would have his last meal, which was chicken Sicilian dish with rigatoni marinara, filled with a spicy blend of olive oil, peppers, mushrooms, and olives. Many people may not know that as of today that the restaurant that he had his last supper will close down many years ago. However, we will show you the context of the restaurant in the short summary. This is not a full history of Cous Little Italy, but we will just summarize it and give you a little history to what happened to when Bruno was having his last meal, and we'll show you the aftermath after he had his last meal at Cous Little Italy, and then we'll up to his ultimate demise, as you see here in this video. The plan. Antonio Tony Bananas Capernegro, John Johnny Keys Simone, and many others in the Philadelphia crime family were becoming frustrated with the power of Angelo Bruno. When gambling became legalized, Bruno did not take advantage of the commercialism exclusively when he was still loyal to the Gambino crime family, despite the passing after his friend Carlo Gambino passed away. On October 15, 1976, Carlo Gambino died of a heart attack. With Gambino gone, Bruno lost his most important ally in the underworld. Carlo Gambino, the boss of bosses, was so powerful that Angelo Bruno was untouchable. However, in the wake of Carlo Gambino's death, Bruno was exposed. Most of Bruno's subordinates felt that they were missing out on money because of Bruno's old-fashioned and content ways. Unbeknownst to Bruno, members of his own crime family were plotting against him due to these reasons. One of them was casino, gambling, we mentioned. Also, Angelo Bruno would not allow his own crime family members to get involved in the robust narcotics market. However, members of the Gambino crime family were into the drug trade and exchanged Bruno money that many people felt was drug money, and he would be a hypocrite towards his own community. Therefore, Johnny Keys Simone will collaborate with Capernegro to overthrow Angelo Bruno. In 1980, the 1970s were over, and the decade were unleashed a whole new rampage of violence and create a civil war within the crime family of Philadelphia, started with Angelo Bruno. Capernegro had been lining up to support in Philadelphia for a palace coup. He enlisted Frank Sedone, the Barracuda, John Johnny Keys Simone, and Alfred Salerno, Capernegro's brother-in-law, as willing participants in the conspiracy. Sedone, a longtime Bruno family soldier and one of the biggest loan sharks in Philadelphia, was to be the underboss of Capernegro's rebel regime. Behind Bruno's back and wishes, Capernegro decided to take business, and within another crime family was the Genovese. He approached the Genovese family boss Frank Thierry in order to seek the commission's permission to whack Angelo Bruno to take over the crime family. Thierry, sensing an opportunity to take over Capernegro's New Jersey gambling operation, set up an operation in Atlantic City. He lied to Capernegro and told him that he had the commission's support. Coup de grace. March 21st, 1980, John Johnny Keys Simone and Frank the Barracuda Sedone met with John Stanfa, also known as Giovanni John Stanfa, in New York City. During this time, John Stanfa was a young Sicilian wise guy who Simone and Sedone recruited to replace regular driver Raymond Long John Mortorano and Mario Sonny Riccobini. The plan of a coup d'etat was set in motion. Angelo Bruno would have his last meal at Cous Little Italy with some of his friends. Many underworld observers believe Frank Sedone marked Angelo Bruno by giving him the symbolic kiss of death after he kissed Bruno's cheek before Bruno left the restaurant. Angelo Bruno and John Stanfa left the restaurant and prepared for Bruno's last ride.
On March 21st, 1980, Angelo Bruno ate a hearty meal with his attorney at Cous's Italian restaurant in South Philadelphia. That night, there was one minor change in the routine. Mario Riccobini, who was Bruno's driver, took the attorney home. John Stanfa drove Bruno home.
He left Cous Little Italy restaurant, went to Broad Snyder, picked up a newspaper, went eastbound on Snyder, and stopped right outside of his house. Despite the fact it was a bitter cold night, around 9:30 at night, somehow the passenger side window was lowered. Now, whether Angelo Bruno lowered it himself to flick out a cigarette, or whether John Stanfa, who had the controls, it was an electric window, lowered it, We'll never know. At least we don't know it to this point. But in any event, one of two men stepped from the shadows on the 900 block of Snyder Avenue, walked up behind Angelo Bruno, leveled a double-barreled shotgun to the back of his head, and pulled both triggers simultaneously.
All right, and here's what the location of Cous Little Italy looks like now, and we will show you what it looked like then. And we'll line up to how the building structure still lays down from the foundation. Now we'll let you see from what happened from documentary's point of view to how the story unfolded.
Sergeant Walt Coughlin was sent from the crime scene back to Cous's restaurant to interview some of Bruno's men.
Shindon was sitting by himself when we walked in to talk to him. And I said, "Frank, what happened?" And he went, "Don't know." I said, "Oh, yeah, I didn't say." We said a few other things that you can't put on television. He said, "I don't know why anybody would want to kill that man. He was a saint." I said, "Well, he is now, if he wasn't before."
It was a dark, rainy night as John Stanford was driving Angelo Bruno to his home at 934 Snyder Avenue in South Philadelphia. Before he was driven home, he and John Stanford stopped at Broad and Snyder to get a newspaper, and Bruno would never expect anything unusual. The temperature was dropping and rain grew denser around 9:30 p.m. John Stanford parks the car in the cold in front of Angelo Bruno's house as it grew colder. Two men behind the car would step out of the shadows. Angelo Bruno's window was lowered as he flicked his cigarette, and it would be the last thing he would ever do. A shooter loaded double-barrel shotgun and blasted Bruno in the back of his head by pulling both triggers simultaneously. The shooting would instantly take the life of the Godfather of Philadelphia. John Stanford would be wounded from the pellets from the gunshot blast. The shooter and his accomplice fled the crime scene. John Stanford will also do the same, leaving Angelo Bruno's corpse alone in the car. His mouth would gape wide open extremely as if he was screaming for help. The gruesome image of him became an iconic mob hit, especially since he was the Godfather of Philadelphia. The rain would stop and the neighborhood would wake from the gunshot blast noise, creating a pandemonium in South Philadelphia. Therefore, this night became a media circus, as you can see here.
Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and check out more of our content. Feel free to give your feedback and suggestions on what we should do next in the comments. This is Infinite Lee Productions. We love ya.